Okay, sister, I want you to meet my client, Ilse. 45, 3 kids, 6 dogs, married, a full-time career. She felt exhausted and frustrated and out of control in her body. And she had tried everything for years, with perimenopause just making everything worse. Tune into this episode if you want to learn how she eliminated the inflammation in her body while still having balance in her nutrition, how she lost 10 pounds in 6 weeks and 16 pounds in 12 weeks without hard workouts, and how she's learned to listen to her body and thrive amidst her very full schedule. Let's dive in. What's up, sister? Welcome back to the Period Whisperer podcast, the show helping perimenopause and menopause women de-stress your body and decode what it's saying to you so you can own your own health, energy, and weight loss again. If you're new, I'm so happy you're here. I'm Bria. I'm your host, a recovering people pleaser and hustle addict turned functional and holistic hormone specialist. Let's lean in and learn what your body is saying to you. Hey there, sister. Welcome to this episode of the Period Whisperer podcast. I'm your host, perimenopause guide, and fellow perimenopause struggler, Bria Gad. And I'm so excited to have you here for this extra special interview. Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like you had to starve yourself to obtain whatever goal you were looking for with your health? Or maybe you feel like you're in a constant cycle of self-sabotage, that if you do achieve your goal, you'll never be able to maintain it. If all you've ever really wanted is some body freedom, then this is going to be a great episode for you. I am beyond excited to share a conversation with you today with my client and friend, Ilse Hildebrand, a busy mom of 3 and wife with a career, and even someone who in her spare time, I know, raises puppies. Ilse's story of frustration and how she feels in her body and the impacts of perimenopause has been one that has felt like it's gone on for a while for her. And today she's here to share some hope and what has worked for her. So welcome, Ilse. I'm so grateful that you're here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you. Do you raise puppies? Or I feel like someone's always having.
This last year, I was breeding puppies. I'm taking a break right now. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue it because it is a lot of work and it's heartbreaking to rehome them.
I'm sure. Yeah, you're right. Like, it's like you're a wife, you're a mother of 3, you have a career. Like that's another big thing to do. So I can imagine it's way more work than any of us ever understand.
I think most of my work right now is actually my dogs because I have 6 of my own
dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're talking to a very busy human here. So maybe let's talk about that then, a little bit more about your life, about your career, your family responsibilities, your stress levels, and age, if you're open to it.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm 45, honestly. I think where did the time go? Like, gone. But anyways, no, I've got 6 dogs. I just got a couple gerbils and a few rats too.
Oh my God.
I love animals. If I had the money, I'd have kind of like a petting zoo for everybody.
Oh, I love that.
That's where I get my dopamine from.
And did you grow up on a farm or like with animals, or it's just a natural love for you?
Yeah. Yeah. I used to say when I was younger, when I get my own house, I'm going to have 2 cats, 2 dogs, 2 birds, and like poop everything.
I love that.
And now that I'm getting older, it's a little tough. Plus, my husband wants to have a little more freedom.
Yeah.
Kids are getting older.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the same. You can't just up and leave when you have 6 dogs, can you?
Yeah. No, you can't. But my sister's pretty good at helping me out. So she also loves animals. So she's like, I'll watch them. I'm like, okay.
Do you feel like obviously, as you say, this gives you a dopamine hit, but do you feel like all the responsibility of everything has been stressful for you these last few years?
When I introduced the puppies, yes. Mm-hmm. Because it's constant cleaning. Like I'm always clean. And then I acquired another dog that's not a Chihuahua, and she was also a puppy, and she was hard to potty train. Yeah. So like my dogs make mistakes in my house, but that's my fault for being lazy. So I'm always cleaning up after them, and I don't know how I manage to keep my house clean, but I do.
You're a good mama. That's amazing.
Well, it's hard. Like, I guess for me, keeping my house in order is the hardest part of my life, because my 16-year-old is more like a tornado. So everywhere she goes, she leaves stuff laying around, and I'm like, oh my God, come on. Like,
I've got one of those.
Rent. Yeah, I'm like, you can help out a little bit more, but that's what I'm working on. My husband really helped me over the holidays because I was feeling very overwhelmed with everything because I'm the one who hosts.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So you also hosted the holidays over this time?
Yeah, I always do.
Oh gosh, that's a lot. So tell me this, you said this is your youngest is 16. Is this leaving a tornado behind you unique to your 16-year-old, or is this just is this a phase that they all go through? I'm asking for a friend.
They all have kind of gone through it, but she's definitely the worst.
Oh, okay.
Like, she's slop.
But does that mean they grow out of it?
I mean, I was kind of a pig too when I was younger. I wouldn't say quite as bad as her, but I see me in her. So I'm like, well, maybe she will. I find that you move out on your own.
Yeah.
Then you have like, it's your space. It's your responsibility. Yeah. And when they're at home with mom and dad, they're like, whatever, they'll just clean up after me.
Yeah, things magically get cleaned up.
She's more stubborn than I am. Let's just say it that way. Because I like try to wait it out because she says, I'll clean it this day. I'll clean it. She never cleans it. So I, of course, give in because I can't take it anymore. But
yeah, and get it done. I know that works so well. So well. Yeah. So all this to say, it's obvious you have a very full life, we'll say, very busy.
And I work full time.
And you work full time, which is a lot. And yeah, so it's like you have 6 dogs, 3 kids, a husband, and you work full time. So, not bored, not sitting around eating bonbons.
Well, sometimes. Well, you I have this Invisalign stuff. It's not actually Invisalign, it's Clear Correct. So that helps me not eat all the time too.
Oh, hey, there's a hack for anybody. It straightens the teeth and you can't eat in between meals. There you go. Yeah. I love that. So let's get into it a little. Like how had you been how were you feeling in your body when we first started connected, and maybe when you first started considering joining a program like Midlife Mojo? Like, what was keeping you and in your body?
I was exhausted, feeling disgusting in my body, like literally disgusting. Like I couldn't stand looking at myself anymore. Like I look like, to me, I kept telling myself I look like the Marshmallow Man. Like I had no muscle tone, and I was so exhausted all the time. And I was like, I'm never going to lose weight. It just kept going up, creeping up. And I was like, what is going on? I felt completely out of control.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that feeling. Were you sleeping well at night?
I'd wake up to go to the bathroom, but I wouldn't say I was sleeping bad.
Yeah. But you were just exhausted.
I always felt tired.
Yeah.
When I wake up, and I have for years.
Mm-hmm. And what had you been what had you tried to lose weight, to have more energy? What had you tried up until that point?
Everything. Weight Watchers. I've tried, because I do have low thyroid and I have Hashimoto. Okay. So I've tried stuff like that in the past, but it's very, very restricting permanently. Mm-hmm. Basically, no gluten, no dairy. And I mean, this program also kind of starts that way, like elimination of inflammatory foods, which is fine. It's not that hard to do it temporarily. Yeah. But to maintain it can be, especially if you have people around you that like all that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we don't live in a vacuum, right? I always think that's so important. It's like, sure, it's much easier to do a lot of these things on your own for some people, but when you have other people to cook for, other people to consider, other people with food around or habits, it's challenging. Yeah, and I find when I eat like the bad or inflammatory foods in moderation or very rarely, they don't bother me. But if I continue to eat them, that's when my body's like, no, that's enough. Yeah. So, and that's one thing I really realized in this program. It's like once I eliminated it, or most of it, I should say, because I think I still had coffee. No, I didn't. Whatever. I cheated a little bit.
I think that's important to say, though, because I always say to people too, like, look, I mean, sure, we want to shoot for the best we can do, but I have personally, like, this is what's worked for me and what's worked for hundreds of my clients, but I have never been quote unquote 100% in any of my ventures I
think it's unrealistic.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't need to be 100%. You just need to do your best long enough, I think.
I think I lost just about 10 pounds in the inflammatory phase.
In the inflammatory phase, you lost 10 pounds?
Like in the inflammatory phase and kind of halfway into phase 2.
Oh, wow.
And then by phase 3, like I think total I've lost about 16 pounds.
Oh my gosh, Ilse, that's amazing.
And that's from like gaining and gaining and gaining. And I was always one of those people when I was younger, was when I did something, I went all out. Like exercising, it was all high intensity. It was working, pushing hard. And if I didn't push hard, it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
So this was honestly probably the hardest part, was no exercise during this period. No, or very relaxed. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I just really need to sweat and get my heart going. And
it's a real mind, and I went through the same thing where it's like, but all I've ever known is that I have to do more to burn those calories. And so to do less and then actually get results is a little bit like, what?
I know. Well, I started kickboxing in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started putting on the weight, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, they're like, you need to eat more. I'm like, are you kidding me? So they're trying to get me to eat more carbs, more, things that my body, I don't think wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's funny because you do learn to listen to your body. But like I was eating more. And then of course, if you stop doing it, you don't really stop eating more.
Yeah.
So I just kept gaining weight. And I was like, okay, well, I can see that my muscles are firming up and whatever, but I was always exhausted. I would do it like 3 times a week, and I couldn't understand how some people could do it twice a day in a row. And I was like, are you insane? And like do it every day. And I was like, I wanted to be those people. I wanted to have that energy, and I was so jealous.
Yeah.
And that's why I was starting to feel hopeless too, because I was exhausted. I was like, I couldn't do anything else in my day. Like my husband would want to go for a walk, and I'd be like, I don't have the energy. Like I didn't have the energy for anything else.
Yeah. And
work.
By the sounds of it, even without knowing you more, like with all that you do and accomplish, like you're a driven person. So to be limited by your energy when you're a driven person, I don't know, I would imagine is really frustrating.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Extremely, yeah. But when I started doing this, and I started yoga just before I joined this program.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was doing it about 3 times a week, I think, but I wasn't really doing any of the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I wasn't gaining anymore. So that was a plus, but I wasn't losing either. And then when I started this, I was like, all of a sudden it just started like coming off. My muscle tone seemed better. I had more energy. I was like, I can actually go to yoga 3 or 4 times a week, like hour-long and hot yoga. And I usually hate heat, but I loved it. Like I sweat and I felt amazing. And I was like, oh my Lord. I was like, my body, I could just feel the strength slowly coming back. And it was so empowering. And I thought, wow. And I was like, wow, you weren't kidding. Like yoga really is awesome. But then when you're doing the diet with it, it's just like, my body was just like, okay, I'll start to go,
Yeah. And did you felt motivated by that? Like, it's like when you're, such a good feeling, isn't it? When
my body, or like my brain, I should say, how it's like the go, go, go. As soon as I was like given the okay for weights, I overdid it, because they had this challenge in November. And it was a 21-day challenge. So I tried to get in 21 classes, and I was sick at the beginning of November. So I was like doubling up on classes, and it's hot, and I probably wasn't drinking enough water. And then I wasn't really following my diet like I should have been, because I was introducing food back. So it was almost like no holds barred. Yeah. Thank God it didn't really gain anything back. I was still losing. Yeah. But and then I plateaued for a bit in the phase 2 middle part, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I started losing again. So, but this is motivation for me to do it again.
Yes.
Like start it all over again. And now that I know more, especially with the phase 3, like the luteal phase, that was so confusing for me initially, because I had a hysterectomy last December.
Yeah.
I kept my ovaries, and I was pretty sure my ovaries had kicked the bucket after that, even though they're there. But I don't think so, because I started feeling it when you talked about, your energy ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, this last week I've been feeling exhausted or hungry or whatever. So I think my hormones are still there. They're still fluctuating.
Yeah.
So I tried to do it by the moon phases, but it didn't really fit with what my body was doing. Yeah. So for me, it's a little trickier because I have to just try and figure out what my body's doing.
Yeah.
And I had to listen to my body more.
But you did. I think that's what's so, like, even just to hear you talk now, like we all have moments where we maybe just dive into a challenge and we don't realize it's too much, but the only way we know it's too much is if we try and then we listen. Yeah. So like, I can hear you recognizing in yourself what is being said. And I mean, like, to me, that's one of the best gifts of all, to be like, to listen, trust it. I don't know about for you, but like, that's always a hard piece. It's like your body's exhausted and we want to just push it harder. And we're like, oh no, I guess it means I need an actual break.
No, I did push it throughout that. I got my 21 classes plus in like 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So I really overdid it. My body just said, nope. And so for literally like the next week or so after, I could do nothing. I didn't even go to yoga. I was just like, I need to rest. So I had to rest. Mm-hmm. But I was like, okay, I'm never doing that again, But I just really wanted to get entered for a draw.
Yeah. Driven. Right there. I found it. That's it. We could tell.
So I was like, I didn't win anyway, but...
But that's awesome. So, I mean, you already mentioned that one of the things that felt unusual or confusing was this, like, okay, peel back and no working out during this first phase. Was there anything else that you that was suggested to you in the program that you were like, that seems backwards or seemed confusing?
I guess some of the way to eat during each phase was a little hard for me to grasp too, like to remember, I guess, not grasp, but to remember too.
Yeah.
But I mean, it made sense.
Yeah.
And it did help. When you follow the plan, it helps. Yeah. And that's the thing, like, because we do have unlimited access, we can go back and start over, or do it a little longer if we need to, or, So that's what I plan on doing come the new year, after New Year's, because junk food, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I plan on starting from day one again.
I love it. Yes, I love that. So, okay. So how are you, listen, you've talked about a bunch of things, you've lost 16 pounds, which is amazing. How are you feeling now? Like your energy, everything, everything compared to your Hashimoto's. I don't know if you've had any further testing. Like, how are you feeling now?
My thyroid is up. So it's in the high side of normal, which is good.
That's good.
My iron is up because I don't bleed anymore.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
I don't have to take supplements for that anymore. What else? I say my energy is definitely better. Yeah.
Yeah. I know you've mentioned a few times your clothes were fitting better, and that's always a good feeling.
Yes. Actually, my body, I can actually look at myself in the mirror. Like, I still don't love what I see, I still find, like, oh, okay, I'm fluffy still. But my body is toned up. I'm not bloated anymore. Like, my rings fit me. And they didn't fit me for so long.
Yeah.
Like, I can really tell in my hands and my face and my feet when I can actually see like definition in my ankles, and like that I'm not retaining all that water anymore. And I don't feel as stiff anymore. Just those little things that you don't really notice until all of a sudden one day you're doing something and it's like, hey, that didn't hurt. Or, wow, I did that for a long time. Or, like yesterday, cleaning up my house, like purging, didn't hurt me. Like, I was a little sore because of my hip, my sciatic's bugging me, but I was still able to do it and function and get up the next day and do it again,
accomplish things, which when you're a driven person, like, accomplishment is a huge part of your dopamine hit, I think.
Oh yeah, it is. Oh, yeah. It's amazing.
No, I'm so happy to hear that. I'm the
best program I've ever been on.
Oh.
It's really the realistic, and you're so down to earth. You're so easy to contact, so accessible. And I know that's probably a lot for you, like, because that's your job, right? Like, there's probably people coming at you all the time, but I really appreciate it when you do answer me. And I kind of like your voice mails or whatever.
Oh, good. My voice messages.
Like, hearing your voice messages is kind of nicer than actually, seeing a text.
Aw, I'm so glad. Well, you were such a engaged part of the group, which I love and appreciate so much. So, I think it's easy for us to fall out of practice of something when life is so busy. But I always find the more I lean in to programs that I invest in or things, you get the support when you need it, right? It's always there. So this is a lot to do with the work you put in and how you showed up.
And for that long, like it can be hard to get distracted. And I think we all did.
Yes.
Life distracted us, whatever, but just to get back on track and do the best you can, that's all you can do.
Yeah. And I think, it's so cool to hear you say, like we know we get a bit derailed at the holidays and everything. And you're going to get kind of right back to it. Like you're now in this fat burning mode and it's just going to kind of keep ticking. So even if you're not feeling amazing with what you're seeing in your reflection or how you think the potential your body has, it's coming. Like it's only been 3 months. Now it's like, wait till you see the next 6 to 12 months. It'll be incredible.
Exactly. And the days that I have eaten crappy, which aren't that many, right? Like, so I pretty much stay on plan and I'm good with my good, healthy food, my whatever. But then like the other day I had my nieces over and we did like a craft day and we made it an appy day. So it was like all junk food. Yeah. You're just, munching all day and no weight gain.
Yeah.
Not even water retention. I was like, yay.
That's amazing. Such good, because then you're like, your body's working, right? It's doing what it should do. It should respond quickly to things. So, I'm so happy.
I realize it's not something that I can say, oh, my body's not gaining weight. Let's just keep doing this. Because I know eventually my body's going to say, no. But like I can actually like indulge a little bit and not feel like crap about it.
Yes, which is, I think, life. Like, sure, if you're going to be one of those people who really never feels like having those things, I think go for it. But I've never become one of those people. That's never happened for me. I still really like to enjoy, the things, the birthday cake and the holiday treats and the things that ebb and flow. And we want to know that we can do it without, like, we want to know that we can go on holiday or enjoy holiday without that fear of falling completely off a wagon or gaining all this weight and just feeling frustrated and stuck.
And you can still go on holiday and eat right most of the time.
Yes, definitely. And your body I think when you start to listen to those whispers as you have, it becomes easier to make decisions that feel good instead of ones that kind of tick your body off.
My sugar cravings are not completely gone, but almost. And it's crazy because I got so much chocolate for Christmas and I was like giving it away.
Oh.
And I put stuff up in the car and my husband's like, aren't you going to eat that? I'm like, just because it's there doesn't mean I have to eat it.
Yeah.
And it can last me a long time. Like, what? He doesn't get it.
But are you ever like, who is this person? Like, how did I become this person when you used to be like, I don't know, I used to be insatiable about those things. So does it actually surprise?
When I was younger, I was a very big health food junkie. And I would freak out if any sugar came in my house. Freak out. But that was also with my anxiety that had a lot, like everything was like, but now like, because I'm on fluoxetine to help me with my anxiety, I stopped worrying about anything, like stopped worrying about what I was eating. And that also helped me put on the weight.
Right.
And then even when I tried to get back on track, it just wasn't moving. And then I realized that also my age.
Yeah. Are you also on thyroid medication then for your Hashimoto's?
Yeah.
I think it's good. I like, it's good to share this because I know a lot of people question whether they'll be able to release weight if they're on, anxiety medication or thyroid medication or other medications. And, obviously you're proof that that's possible, which is so good to hear.
And I have I know I have cysts, or I had a cyst on one of my ovaries. Yeah. So isn't that PCOS or whatever?
Yeah, that's one of the signs.
So I've got that too then. Like I have hormonal issues in general, and I'm not, I would say I'm still classified as obese, like in the BMI books, but
I don't know anything.
I know,
say that, but I'm looking at you right now and
I can still lose weight, and I can still be healthy. And now I know it's possible. And I've seen many people do it. It's just, you have to do it the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. And then once you get on that path, it's a good feeling because not only are you honoring like the integrity of your body by doing things the right way, but then you're being rewarded for your good behavior. And I think that's such a good feeling.
It's funny because it sounds especially for my husband hearing some of my, podcast or the podcast and stuff that I listen to with you, he's like, we're magical.
Women are magic.
Yeah. But like, he thinks it's so cheesy. He's like, you have to eat funny. The guys, like, some people just don't get it.
Yeah.
And it does sound almost cheesy to have to eat this certain way. And you don't have to, but you can stay in the same rut.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the point. It's like at some point we need to, I think our body is often telling us like, this isn't working for you. Yeah. And we have to kind of just accept it and not go with the norm anymore, but do what works for us. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of women.
I like that it's funny, recognized, especially like with my coming of age, I could say, because I never knew or heard about anything like this. It was just something that happened, right? You just go through the change, you just get fat, get old.
Yeah, you dry out. Yeah. That's what it is. It's like, that's what we've always been told. So I'm so grateful that you're part of this revolution to change that. And yes,
remind my friends about you. Telling my friends, they're like, oh, I'm trying to lose weight. And they're all starting, like some of them are a little younger. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, you wouldn't believe this, but about 35-ish, I'm like, you start changing. And that makes sense. Because when I look back at what happened to my body and my mind and everything, I was like, oh, that's why,
Yeah. And you think, gosh, if I'd only known, right? If I knew this earlier, I wouldn't have gone so far down this other path. So it'd be nice to learn earlier. And that's, I think, anyway, you're a great example of that. So I'm so grateful. Thank you for being here. Now, one more thing, if you don't mind if I ask, but what do you think women going through, so women that are starting to go through this, their friends that you're talking to, or anyone listening to this podcast starting to go through this hormonal shift, wanting to feel better, what do you think they really need to know? If you could share like one key thing, like what's been the biggest aha moment for you through this journey?
They don't need to be perfect, that they leaning into it and just giving what they can. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think investing in something like this is amazing, and do it when you have time. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be all on time. Like, I sure wasn't. Yeah. But I know that going into it next time, I know what to expect more, and it's going to be easier for me. And every time I do it, it's going to be easier. It's just, and honestly, like, why wouldn't you want your body to feel amazing?
Yeah. Yeah.
And your mind.
Mm-hmm. In your mind. And, we don't talk about this enough, but there is, when you talked earlier on so vulnerably about that feeling of feeling disgusting in your body, like that's a massive mental load that consumes a lot of our energy all day. Mm-hmm. We can't be magic if we're thinking about that. Yeah. So thank you so much, Ilse. I'm so grateful for you sharing your story. I'm so glad that we're connected and to call you my friend. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. All right, sisters, you've heard it from Ilse. You know that there's so much option and opportunity and possibility out there for you. So go out, be more in your life and not just less on a scale. And we'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining me on the Period Whisperer podcast. If you liked this episode, take 30 seconds right now to write a review on iTunes and then reach out to me directly on Instagram at Bria_period_whisperer and message me there with a screenshot of your review. As a thank you, I will give you a customized free hormone audit to get you on your way to the best health of your life in midlife.